Well, hello and welcome. You all probably know, I'm Leah and I'm one of the co-founders of Young Lung Cancer Initiative. And I thought we would do a live. Now, I will say, this is the first time I've ever done this, and my kids would call me like a boomer. And when it comes to this kind of stuff, I kind of am. So, I am in my hotel room at the Rotary house, which is near MD Anderson. Actually, it's connected to MD Anderson. So I'll just give you a little background on me. So I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer as a never smoker when I was 43 in December of 2019. And totally shocked, obviously. Never smoked. Didn't think that was like a, possibility. So the way I got to that point is I started with persistent cough in the fall, and it just wouldn't go away. And I was at the primary care physician. I've told this story 1,000 times. Between the primary care physician and 2 hospital stays, it took until December for me to actually find out that my diagnosis was lung cancer. While we are on here, I know lots of you all are probably new, but some of you are typical followers. So if you want to share with other people you know that follow me or follow the Young Lung Cancer Initiative, then you can share this with them. So I guess little bit of brief history is that like I said, I was diagnosed in December of 2019. I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids, my youngest being 9, my oldest being 14. And when I was diagnosed, they did do biomarker testing, which is very important if you test positive for lung cancer, especially as a never smoker and as a genetic driver called EGFR exon 19 deletion. So you say, what does that mean? Good question, because I didn't know what it meant either. Hereditary, like that my parents had, that they passed down to me. And this type of a lung cancer mutation, that's totally not true. Like what it is, it's considered a somatic mutation, meaning I was born with my EGFR gene intact and working like a champ, and somewhere along the way that gene broke, and it's a helper gene. It cleans up cancer. It broke and my cancer started to grow. So that is what EGFR gene is. So I don't run the risk of passing this on to my children. And then the next question I know people are going to want to know is, well, what would cause that to break? Well, I live in Kentucky, which is like a hotbed for radon. If you don't know about radon is a tasteless, odorless, and invisible gas that it's emitted through primarily limestone in the ground. And in Kentucky, we have a lot of limestone, as well as in Indiana, Tennessee. Those are 2 big that the doctors have given me, is that they think it is from radon exposure. So after my diagnosis and finding out that I was EGFR, I was put on what they call a targeted therapy. And targeted therapy is not really chemo, but it has a lot of the same side effects. It's something I take orally, daily, at home. I've taken it every day since December 30th of 2019, except for there was an 10-day period I did not take it while I was having radiation to my primary tumor. So I started taking that TKI it's like weeks. The coughing had stopped. I wasn't having shortness of breath. The pain in my pelvis, because I did have metastasis in my spine and pelvis. It obviously lobe, and then it spread to the pain. I'm seeing some questions here, and this is what are the side effects. So some of the side effects of Tagrisso, pretty much off the bat, most people will have what they call the Tagrisso rash, and it's a lovely like red blotchy rash, typically on your face, your chest. It can be on your arms. I did deal with that, but then once it cleared up, I've only had it one other time in the 4.5 years since I was diagnosed. Mouth sores can be common. And then let's see what else. I don't have any of these to show right now because it's summertime, but in the winter you get like almost like little paper cuts like all over your fingers. You get them around your toes. They hurt like the bejesus and they're tiny. Then I also will get, fingernails and toenails are an issue. Like I've lost some toenails. The fingernails get really paper thin and tear. So nail and skin issues like on your fingers and your toes. Unfortunately, the biggest number one side effect is diarrhea, which for me, I've had it some, but not terribly. I mean, I know people who can't even leave the house because it's so bad, like really bad. I'm trying to think what else. Fatigue, brain fog. My crazy one right now is the cramps that I get. They're like leg cramps. Well, they started as Charlie horses, but now they're like in my toes or in my hands, and like literally my hands will get stuck like in these weird spots, and like I have to physically move my fingers, or same thing with my toes. Very strange, but it is a side effect of these targeted therapies, especially Tagrisso. So like I said, I just kind of chugged along for the first almost year of my journey. And at that point, we begged the doctors that I was seeing. I did get a second opinion, and I would advise everyone that's watching, if you have any type of cancer, if you know someone with cancer, that a second opinion could be the difference between life and death. It could be the difference in 2 years expectancy versus 5 years or 10 years. So at the second opinion that I went to, after about a year, my primary tumor had shrunk by 70%. And it was like, that's great. And all the bone mets were sclerotic. But we wanted to do more. Oh, I see somebody here saying they woke up with leg cramps last night screaming. Ugh, they're the worst. Yes. So I've tried all the things. I've tried magnesium. It helped a little bit. I've tried making sure I'm getting enough potassium, drinking enough water. But right now, what seems to work best is if I just get up and walk. I know that sounds like the craziest thing. But if I can get up and walk just for like a minute or two, then I can get them under control and get back to bed. And they primarily happen at night in my legs. Now my feet, like they did it a minute ago, and my hands, that's like a lot of times, like I'll be driving and all of a sudden it's like, meh. I've heard you can drink pickle juice. The integrative medicine doctor that I saw yesterday at MD said try fermented foods more. So I'm going to add that too to the mix. But anyways, back to my year mark. So almost at the year mark, we begged for more treatment, and they agreed to do radiation to my primary tumor. So I had 8 sessions of SBRT, high-powered, very precise radiation to my primary tumor. And that I responded well to that, and that made me basically, in their minds, like the cancer was dead or gone in the primary tumor, which is good. And then since then, I've just chugged along on my TKI. But here's the bad part, or not the bad part. This is the bad part in my head, in between here and here, is that after I had radiation, they told me that I had 5 years to live from diagnosis date. And that seemed really far away. And then I'm almost there. I've got 4 months. And I'm like, this is not okay. So that's what kind of pushed us to go further away for treatment. And being at MD has been really like eye-opening and amazing. Part of me wishes I would have done this sooner. It is a flight since I am in Kentucky, but we do have a direct flight, which is nice. So MD Anderson has been wonderful. Every person we encountered, whether it was someone on the cleaning staff or the doctors, the nurses, the fellows, the people at the help desk, everybody has been great. So my first appointment was yesterday with the thoracic oncology surgeon, and she was mind-blowingly amazing. I mean, she was just amazing. And she felt like, by looking at all my test results and scans, that I was a good candidate for having that right middle lobe removed, which, no one else has said that would be an option. So she felt so confident. She did order several tests, a brain MRI, a chest and abdomen CT, a PET scan, and a pulmonary functions test, all of which she wanted done prior to surgery just to make sure that everything was good. But she was so confident that she said, you know what? I think I'm going to put you on the books for surgery. And when we get these results back, I'm going to look at the results and I'm going to message you and I'll tell you your surgery date. So, okay, of course, that means all this has to turn out well. And today I went and saw, or then yesterday afternoon, I went to see the Integrative Medicine group. That place was amazing. It is like what I've been looking for almost 5 years. If you're not familiar with that, they are like specialists in combining holistic therapy with your traditional therapy. So she told me exactly what medicines I should be taking, like supplements that don't interact in a negative way with my TKI or the Tagrisso. We talked about diet, we talked about exercise, we talked about sleep health. She encouraged me, there were 3 supplements she encouraged me to take. She encouraged me to go move, and I'm pretty much here anyways, towards a more plant-based diet, not like totally vegan. She doesn't want me to do that, but more like incorporate lots of foods that are fruits and vegetables, legumes, and then, fill in here or there. But I'm not really a big poultry or meat eater, so that's really quite fine. She did say, which I thought this was interesting, because, you hear all these mixed things about mushrooms, but she said mushrooms are one of the most beneficial foods that you can eat to help fight cancer. And I asked her about like the tinctures or like the powders, the supplements, and she said, we'd love to think those work, but best thing to do is to take a variety of mushrooms in you orally through your diet, not through supplementation. So she said portobellas, she said basically if you go to Whole Foods, they have like a whole mushroom display, and just pick them out, eat them raw, eat them cooked, whatever. But I don't think she meant like, mushrooms like that we think of when we think medicinal mushrooms. They did not, so when I made this appointment, it's a little bit, like I did this kind of a little weird way. So I have been going to another institution about 3 hours away from my home, and it is in Tennessee, which has been wonderful. It's a research my home, and it is in Tennessee, which has been wonderful. It's a research from MDA about, the possibility of surgery on these stage 4 patients. So the possibility of surgery on these stage 4 patients. So when I emailed the doctors to thank them, I also said possibility of surgery on these stage 4 patients. So when I emailed the doctors to thank them, I also said, okay, I think I need a what happened? Let's see. Am I live? No. Am I live? No. Let's. Okay. Am I back? Somebody send me something so I know I am. Okay, I think I'm back. Okay, sorry about that. I'm in a hotel and the Wi-Fi here is not great or offer it, but when I call, I kind of did it the kind of weird way. I just like emailed the surgeon, said I'd love a surgical consult. I'd also like to see a thoracic oncologist, and if there's any Let's see. Am I back? I don't know. Let me go over by the window. Maybe I'll get better service. Okay. Okay. I have a lot of bars here, so we'll, yes, I see some hearts. So if somebody wants to tell me where I started breaking up, I can go back to that because I didn't know that was happening. Okay, is this working? Oh, met with surgeon. Okay, so that's where it left off. Thank you. So yes, I met with the surgeon, and after I met with the surgeon, she felt like I would qualify for surgery, but she ordered a battery of tests just to make sure that things were good. Then after that, I did see the integrative medicine oncologist or group, and she was fabulous. So I see someone saying, how do you get a consult? So, I mean, honestly, okay. Oh, wait. Heard that part. I think at the consult, how to get one for surgery. Okay. So I had a personal relationship in terms of, since I had experienced leading a webinar for these doctors, that I was able to email them. But it's my understanding that you can just call and reach out to them directly through the website. There's actually a button on the website that says like schedule an appointment or schedule a consult. So that's, I think, how most people would go about doing that. They will want your insurance, because at first they told me my insurance would not cover any of this, and we would have to be private pay, which who could afford that? No one. So my husband had to make some phone calls, but they did take our insurance, and everything was covered by insurance. So today I met with Dr. Singhi. It's not a surprise because everybody knows now that, it's been out there on TikTok. No, you do not need a referral. At least for my insurance, you did not. If you do need a referral and you feel awkward talking to your oncologist, all you have to do is ask your primary care physician to give you that referral. It doesn't matter where it comes from. I will say one of the things I did is when we were last at my quarterly appointments in Tennessee, I said to the oncologist, I said, what about surgery? I'm hearing people are doing surgery. And she's like, ooh, we don't really do that here. And I said, well, she's like, if you really are thinking that would be something you're interested in, she's like, you really need to go to MDA for that. And so she even said, like, go do that. So as for, I don't know everybody's situation, but I did not have to have a referral. And like I said, if you do, I know other people that have just gotten referrals from their primary care physician. So hopefully that would work. Seeing he was amazing. He came in the door just as like happy and as excited as he was when he's on TikTok. If you don't follow him, I think his handle is Lung Doc, but he's great. And we talked to him about, like, from his aspect as the oncologist, what does this mean for, like, is this curative? Is this just temporary? What does this mean? And yes, Lung Doc. That's it. Lung Onc Doc is who that is. Follow him. He's amazing. And we asked him a lot of questions about this, and he said, this all was through a trial, of course. I mean, they don't just start doing surgery on stage 4 patients randomly. And apparently the reason we were never thought to be surgical candidates before was because most documentation and data on lung cancer was on previous smokers who are older, like in their 60s and 70s, which is different than someone who is in their 20s, 30s, 40s that has never smoked. So those people weren't thought to be able to make it through surgery physically. So that's why they just lumped us all in there together. But we did talk about whether this is curative, and there's no hard data that it's curative, because, this the trial just ended recently. They've been doing this for many years. They are seeing people be not cured, but they'll say NED or no evidence of disease, because that primary tumor is gone, and that's where they feel that the majority of metastasis occur. Like, even though I have bone mets, usually mets don't remet. It's tumors that get out of that primary, or cells that get out of that primary tumor that would like travel through and like hide somewhere dormant and start up again. So in theory, if we can get this stuff out of my lung, it could already be dead because of the radiation, but there's no way to know unless we remove it. Then they would consider me NED or no evidence of disease. I would still be monitored, like typically, with the chest and abdomen CT, PET scans, brain MRIs and such, quarterly, because I always will have stage 4 cancer. That would still be my diagnosis. It would not be considered remission because there's no way to label stage 4 lung cancer as being in remission. But it would definitely, in theory, I would just keep taking my targeted therapy and, prolong my life expectancy 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 years. But as we all know in this community, the research is coming so fast and so hard for young lung cancer, which is amazing. So many things have changed since I was diagnosed in 2019 to today, that they're hoping that even if I were to progress in 5 or 10 years, there's going to be the next latest, greatest thing to do for that. So that's a good question. But Singhi also ordered a ctDNA test, that's a blood biopsy. So apparently at MD Anderson, when they do your biomarker testing, they go right ahead and do a ctDNA blood biopsy. That was not standard when I was first diagnosed, and it's definitely not standard in the hospital I was going to before. In fact, we pushed for a ctDNA test about 9 months ago, and they did it, but they were like, we don't really know what we would do with this information. Luckily for me, what ctDNA does is it measures any shedding cancer cells that are in your blood. And I had 0, no shedding cells, which is a perfect score, great. So we were going to ask to be retested again in December, but Dr. Singhi was like, I would like to just have another one. It was 9 months ago, and I do believe we are going to switch. I know we are going to switch my primary care to MD Anderson just because of the experience we've had. And they'll monitor it. He and the surgeon will monitor it together, just as I was always monitored, but they will throw in bone scans and the CT DNA test. I see somebody asking how many surgeries has this surgeon done on stage 4 lung cancer patients. I didn't specifically ask for a number. I will tell you this. She was part of the trial. She's been doing this for years. I know 2 patients personally that have had her as a surgeon. Other thoracic surgeons have said she's probably one of the best in the world, that she is very cautious but aggressive at the same time. She's not going to put you at risk. This is not to make my life, the quality of my life, go down. It's to make it even better, even if it's just mentally, that not having to worry about what's going on in my lungs. But I mean, put it this way, she is booked out months. So for the surgery. So I feel very confident in what she does. And there's, I believe she said 3 or 4, I'd have to check that fact, other thoracic oncology surgeons at MD Anderson that do this same type of surgery. So this is something that they do every day. And she's like, she was running late to the appointment. She was very apologetic. And she said, I have a clinic full of patients just like you today. She said, it used to be we would have a clinic full of, people in their 70s with stage 4. Now we have a clinic full of 20, 30, and 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds in our clinic. So I feel my husband and I both feel very good about, trusting her to do this surgery and to do it right. Trying to think what else to tell you about MD Anderson. The Rotary house that is where I'm staying is the hotel connected to MD Anderson. If you do come, it is at a discounted rate. It is owned by MDA, but it is ran by a Marriott. Here's the catch. You can't use your Marriott reward points to stay for free. You can earn Marriott points by staying here. So if that's an issue, but they do, like I said, it's a great discount. The room is nice, it's clean, and there are pedways with either walking capabilities, and they also have golf cart transports that will take you to and from all the places that this hotel is connected to. So it's very easy to navigate. It's very hot in Texas. I think their heat indexes have been super, super high. I actually love it. I've been outside and thinking it's wonderful while my husband was dying of sweat. But I will say the hospital, the doctor's offices, everything is freezing. That is why you see me in this nice MDA merch, which I do kind of like, because I was so cold and I wasn't really anticipating staying tomorrow, but one of the tests was not available till tomorrow morning at 8:15, so I had brought extra workout clothes. So I have a clean pair of workout clothes, but it's a tank top, and so I bought this merchandise so I would not freeze tomorrow while I was having my brain MRI done. They are very familiar with Young Lung Cancer Initiative here. Every doctor that I spoke with and nurse were like, "Oh, you're from Young Lung Cancer Initiative. How did that happen?" So they're very aware of our population, and their goal is to help us live long, happy, healthy lives. So that is good too. Trying to think of anything else. Any other questions you guys have for me? I'm pretty much an open book, as you all could probably tell. I do think we'll bring our kids one time, because they even say that they love when families come and kids get to see this and see what's going on and the technology and all the business. So we will do that. How long is the recovery for surgery? Good question. So the surgery, typically, I will have to go off my Tagrisso or my TKI for about 3 to 4 days prior to surgery. That has more to do with a bleeding issue than anything else, although the surgeons did say, I know there are patients of mine that did not listen to that direction and they still did fine in surgery, but I will follow directions because I'm a former teacher and I like to follow directions. So I will stop Tagrisso 3 to 4 days prior to surgery. I'll have to come here the week before surgery for just preoperative blood work, signing all those documents basically that no one wants to read. And then when I come back the day before surgery. If you're part of the Integrative care group, they offer and schedule free massage for you the day before and free acupuncture to help with stress and pain. And then they'll do acupuncture after surgery as well while you're recovering. So as far as recovery goes, day of surgery, I will have a chest tube. I've had one of those before. They're no fun, but it will be okay. I have a little PTSD from the first one because it was kind of emergent and I was awake and it was when I was first diagnosed, but it will be fine. And then they pretty much get you up walking and rolling within 24 hours. They said that you're usually not in the hospital more than 5 days. Lots of patients are out in 3 days. The biggest thing is you have to be able to walk, you have to be able to breathe without oxygen, and you have to be able to have your bowels moving. So, that's an issue sometimes with pain medicines and different things. So that's kind of what they do. They said oftentimes after you are released from the hospital in the 3 to 5 day window, you may go to this hotel that I'm at for 2 to 3 days where they actually can have medical care here if you need it. They like to have the chest tube out before you go home, but they will put you on a portable chest tube machine and let you go home and then have you come back in a week. But I'm thinking I don't have pleural effusion right now, and that's a lot of times patients that have pleural effusion issues or continual pleural effusion, which I do not have. So I'm hoping that chest tube comes out and I'm home within a week, ideally. Will this surgery be robotic? Yes, it is primarily robotic, and she'll go in through the back rib cage and work from there. The incision is probably going to be, she said, anywhere from 4 to 6 inches long, depending on, how complicated things look when she gets in there. But it is robotic, so they're not breaking any ribs, they're not filleting you open or anything, and that's what makes recovery so much easier and quicker than the old way of doing things. So that's pretty awesome too. Any other questions? Let's see. Oh, somebody's saying they just had this done June 6th. Well, I hope it was worth it, and I hope you feel like you're recovered, because it's life-changing. It says, how long does surgery increase life expectancy? They cannot tell me for sure because, trial data dates back like 10-ish years. And they are seeing people living for 10 years already with no progression, adding that right on to your life expectancy. And like my husband and I discussed when we were trying to decide what we were really going to do was, let's say worst case scenario, it gets me 5 or 10 years of staying progression free on my targeted therapy. I mean, there could be so many new treatment options in 5 or 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, but the surgeon did say that she believes that this surgery, what they're finding is this surgery turns this disease into not a terminal illness, but a chronic disease, one of which, just like somebody who's diabetic or somebody who has a thyroid disorder or lupus, would just be on daily oral medication at this point for the rest of their lives, which, I mean, I'm doing that now, and I still have the anxiety of, is this going to come back? Am I going to have progression where if this can just even ease that a little bit, I feel like it's worth it. I looked her straight in the eyes and I told her and her fellow that we had not gotten this much hope from any doctor that we've seen since this journey started. And I have been to 5 different oncology groups, from 2 locally in Kentucky, 1 in Tennessee, 1 at Mass General, and now at MD Anderson. So I feel like that's pretty awesome. Would they do surgery if you have active Mets? Absolutely, they will, apparently, because she said, because I hadn't had a PET scan in a while, although my lung does not look like it's had progression, there's no way of knowing. So she said that if the PET scan shows active cancer in my lung, that's all the more reason to remove the lung. She said, although I've had chest and abdomen CTs every 3 months like clockwork, if there were to be a MET that shows up that we didn't know about before, like, on a rib or even in the liver or something like that, that they would still be able to do surgery, that they would just then know that either I need to be on something other than Tagrisso because that is progression, or I need a little bit of radiation in that spot, and then we would go on, and then hopefully that radiation would cause that cancer to be dead, and then nothing else would be active. Their biggest thing is they just want to know where I am when I go into surgery. And I will say, I know several patients that have recently been diagnosed within the last year that have had the surgery done at MD Anderson through different surgeons, where they still have some active cancer outside of the primary tumor. So I don't think that you, in any way, I'm not an expert, but in each individual case is obviously different, but it does not sound like it would prevent her from doing surgery on me, at least. So we thought that was good news too. Any other questions? I have gone into detail with my whole journey, the misdiagnosis, whatnot, on my personal TikTok account, which I would love for you to join me over there too. I need to post what that's called. I changed my name, but I think it's Leah Phillips lung cancer or lung cancer patient. But you can find me. I'm sure I'm linked in a lot of the stuff that Young Lung Cancer does. So you'll be able to find me if you want more in-depth details about my family life, how it is dealing with lung cancer as you have kids, as they're getting older, how to talk to your children about it, etc. Because I've got one now that just left for college, and I will tell you, it was the sweetest thing. We called him yesterday. He's a freshman, and he's going through Rush, which, if anybody's done that, it's not exactly easy. But he was stressed because he had to put his first choice for a bid on his bid card last night. And we called him to tell him that there was more than likely we were going to have surgery. And he, at 19 years old, as a man-child that looks 30, 6'3", 200-pound big guy, burst into tears. And he said, "This is the best news I've heard since you were diagnosed in my life." So that's just how much this affects the kids too. It's important to all of them. So, you can always follow all that kind of good stuff there. I keep a blog, a personal blog, on Substack. You can follow that. We'll link all this stuff. And you can read about my ups and downs with cancer. You can actually, on my Substack, I believe the exact title is Unfiltered Life, a Mother's Journey with Stage 4 Lung Cancer. You can actually go back and look under diagnosis and go all the way back to the first post I ever made. Actually, they were originally on Facebook, and I took the time to copy and paste them over onto Substack. And you can just see how naive and how little I knew in December of 2019 and where I've come. So it's been a big, long journey, and, I'm pretty raw and real about things. So I hope you all find my content beneficial. And, we have a newsletter through Young Lung Cancer Initiative. We have a website. We have a TikTok account. We have Instagram as well as Facebook. We have a patient group. So there's all sorts of ways to follow us. I just got a question. Will the surgery be more complicated because you've had it for 5 years? So the surgery is not more complicated because I've had young lung cancer or lung cancer for 5 years. I think what makes my case a little bit more complicated is I've had radiation, which causes scar tissue and can be sometimes a little bit sticky and tacky and hard to get out. But she has done this more times than she can count on people with radiation and that scar tissue. So I don't think it matters at all how long you've had lung cancer. I was kind of surprised that they were doing it as soon as they were, because at the other institution I was at, they wanted to see Tagrisso working, what it did in 9 to 12 months before they would touch you with anything else. So that's why I waited almost a year for my radiation. Okay, so I have somebody here that says, "It's my birthday. Can you say happy birthday?" Nick Her. Yes, happy birthday. Every birthday is to be celebrated. I hope you're having a great day. Would there be reason to have surgery if NED on scans? That is not a question I don't have an answer to that, because I've never been considered NED because of having the radiation. There was scar tissue that formed around the area they radiated. So, what? Oh, this person I'm not liking. person I said happy birthday to is now taunting me with saying that I said a racial slur. So, you get some nasty comments, whatever, go away, right? This is a platform for people who are struggling with either their own health or the health of someone they love, not to be making idiot jokes. Anyways, I don't know about the NED thing because, like I said, I've never really been, thank you for reporting them. I have never been considered NED, so I don't know. Now that is what they will consider me after having this procedure done. So, sorry I got distracted with that. That was just off-putting completely. So that's kind of what I know today. And I'm hoping that all these test reports start coming in within the next few days. And we know I don't have any reason to feel like there's been progression, but scan anxiety is real. I will say this is the shortest lead up to scans that I've ever had because I found out yesterday and I had them today. I do have one tomorrow. So that's kind of exciting, I guess. Now, I guess there's still going to be the anxiety of waiting to hear what they say, but we'll be good. I know. I just am hopeful. So that's me. That's my story. That's what I've been doing in MDA. And, I know money can be a big issue, financial toxicity amongst cancer patients in general, especially lung cancer patients who are trying to, raise a family and whatnot. But there is help out there for some expenses to be covered through different organizations. I don't know them off the top of my head. But we can definitely, that's one of the things I want to do is start researching those and getting them out there because people need to know. I will say this, Dr. Singh, he asked me, as well as the surgeon, if I wanted to preserve my fertility. Obviously, that ship has sailed for me for more reasons than one. But one, my age. Two, my husband was diagnosed with prostate cancer at 42 years old, 18 months before I was diagnosed. So he had his prostate removed, and we are not having any babies. But for all of you all out there that are young and still interested in, adding to your family, they do take that seriously here at MD Anderson. So I think that's amazing because if I would have been 20 or 30 with this diagnosis, I would have been crushed if I didn't think I could preserve my fertility. So that is a little bonus there for those of you that are interested in that. So I guess, let's see. Oh, yeah. Glad they asked that. Yeah, me too. I've never been asked that before either. So I was flattered and happy that they asked. Although, like I said, that ship has sailed. I've got 3 healthy kiddos and that I'm still raising. And I help watch my nieces and nephew that are 10, 8, and 6. So I got lots of kids to deal with. So I'm good. But that would have been traumatizing to me if I was young. So, anything else? I say like and follow us, share this with your friends, tell everybody you know about us. We've got some exciting things coming up. If you all are not aware, Lung Cancer Awareness Month is the month of November. I think we're going to be launching a exclusive Lung Cancer Awareness Month only t-shirt on our bonfire page, which you can find through the Young Lung Cancer Initiative website. It's ylci.org. And I do patient interviews, just patient conversations with different patients about how life is going, how we've dealt with side effects, we've dealt with different types of treatment. So watch for those. We have a podcast coming up with a pharmaceutical company about trials that's going to be very interesting. So tune into that. But we are very active on social media. If you haven't figured that out, we're probably flooding your feed. But you can find us and like and follow us and like and follow me. And we will all get through this together. This group, this Young Lung Cancer Initiative that we, myself and Bianca and Lindy founded last year and launched in March, like really quickly. We had no idea this would take off, and we are so beyond blessed that it has, because for so long it was so lonely being a young lung cancer patient because people weren't talking about it, and it was just no good for anybody. There's safety in numbers, so I'm just thankful to have you guys with me on this journey, and I'm happy to support you in any way I can, as well as our organization as a group. So I guess I'm going to sign off. I'm in a hotel room for this is the 4th time that I've stayed by myself in a hotel room in my entire life. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to put my pajamas on and get to bed because I've got to be up early for that brain MRI. But thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Now I can't figure out how to turn this off.